All right, let's talk some local politics now, including an update on the race for New York City mayor. But first, has the sheen come off the Senate campaign, the very new Senate campaign of Newark Mayor Cory Booker? And Andrew, you've been looking into this, and you found a troubling trend here for the last month or two for him.
It certainly has been, Rich. The two biggest selling points for Cory Booker have always been of the PR variety, his constant presence on Twitter and other social media, and his comfort with and seeming embraced by the print and broadcast media. Recently, that seems to have changed, and it seems to have changed just before Booker set his sights on the U.S. Senate and on incumbent Senator and fellow Democrat Frank Lautenberg. The digs, jabs, and pokes between Cory Booker and the man he hopes to replace in the Senate, Frank Lautenberg, are not new, nor are they surprising. But Booker may be regretting how publicly he's pushed for Lautenberg's job and pushed for Lautenberg to retire. Booker's latest headaches haven't come from the senator, but rather from the media, a venue where Booker has always played well. It began in December when the New York Times published an article highly critical of Booker on the front page. The story, titled "Promise versus Reality in Newark on Mayor's Watch," took Booker to task for the city's lack of a snow removal contract, for eliminating 3 fire companies, and for Newark's high poverty rate, even though the mayor had personally and publicly shoveled snow, rescued a fire victim, and made the media rounds for living on food stamps for 1 week. Booker smacked back, writing in the Huffington Post, "In my entire career, I have never seen an article so factually wrong and so willfully willing to exclude facts to attack my work and the progress of our city." And the article's appearance on the front page made it all the more difficult to swallow. But that was just the beginning of Booker's mini-media fights. On January 9th, the Stanford Daily, the school newspaper of Booker's alma mater, found and reprinted this op-ed a 22-year-old Booker penned in 1992. In it, Booker wrote, "I was disgusted by gays. I hated gays," positions even then Booker had turned away from. But the reminder did not help the mayor's image, especially in the LGBT community. It's not clear what prompted the paper to reprint the story. Then Sunday, the Star-Ledger prints this article on what it calls Booker's centrist stance on gun control. He called the issue tiring and questioned the effectiveness of an assault weapons ban. And what may be the most damaging line, quote, "Booker's comments show a stark shift from those of a young Newark councilman who told C-SPAN in 2000 that he favored banning all guns." His name, Cory Booker. In response, Booker took to Twitter, calling the piece one of the worst mischaracterizations of my views. The reporter tweeted back, "The views expressed in the article are your own words. Stop pretending they're not because people are upset with you." Booker continued the fight, tweeting, "Reporter didn't talk to me and mischaracterized my words." Reporter David Giambuso snapped back, "Cory Booker, please stop the BS because you can't take the criticism. I emailed you and your staff several times. The one response I got, I printed." All this, and the primary is still 16 months away.
All right, Andrew, does some of this stem from this is overexposure? There isn't a mayor, maybe the exception of Bloomberg, and I think even counting him, that gets more exposure than Cory Booker? Or is this that he went about this the wrong way, that he was seen as too ambitious, he didn't let Frank Lautenberg go out in his own terms, and he kind of jumped the gun on announcing his intentions for Senate?
I think the latter probably has a lot to do with it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if some of these stories, including the one in the Stanford paper, which was going back to his piece when he wrote it in college, might have been tipped off, let's say, as part of opposition research. The good news for this, for Cory Booker's standpoint, is he is 14 months or 16 months away from the primary. So if he can get through this now, it's not like it's going to be an October surprise or the equivalent thereof waiting for him down the road.
You know, Dominic, you didn't have the benefit when you were covering a lot of politicians' social media, where these guys weren't, in my words, dumb enough to keep responding in real time with a certain amount of characters. Yeah, and then you had to say an unnamed source. But my point is, why is he and these other people resorting to social media? It's the dumbest thing.
Because that's part of the trick and the illusion of Cory Booker. You wrote this article, I don't like it, I'm going to tell you about it. But guess what? And remember, I predicted this. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but your 15 minutes are up. Cory Booker's 15 minutes, he almost stabbed the lead Democrat in the White House, President Obama. They spanked him on the hand for that. He was overly ambitious, and the media overlooked it from day one. He's got the educational credentials, but there was no substance. And the city of Newark is looking at that right now.
Would you ever let a client
Yeah, I was going to
respond
say,
in
as a
real time to social
consultant,
media?
no, because it keeps the story going and it gives it legs and it gives them an opportunity to keep writing about it, and it's not favorable, so why would you want that? But I also think, the second you get in the race, you're fair game and you're playing with the big boys now, so he should have been prepared for all that stuff, doing a vulnerability report on himself. They should have known that those articles were out there and be ready for them, because that's what's going to happen. He's running against a long-time incumbent.
He should have kept quiet about his intentions.
Yeah.
I mean,
Listen, I've
that's
known
a
him for a long
great,
time. I like Cory Booker a lot. I think there is some substance. I think he'd be better off in the Senate than in the Trenton as governor or whatever else. But I don't think he's done himself favors by some of the people he surrounded himself with in Newark. Let's leave it at that. All right, now let's cross the Hudson and check in the race for mayor of New York. And Andrew, it seems like as the world turns here, with who's Bloomberg's favorite of the day?
We'll get to that in a minute, Rich. Two new names officially in that race for mayor. Public advocate Bill de Blasio formally announcing on the Democratic side. John Catsimatidis, the owner of Gristedes Supermarkets, announcing on the Republican side. There could be others, including one big potential surprise. The Daily News reporting that city voters have been getting calls from pollsters trying to figure out if Congressman Anthony Weiner might have enough support for a mayoral run. Weiner did not comment about the report or do anything else on Twitter. You can guess why not. The caller's also polling about Weiner's chances in a race for city comptroller against Manhattan Borough President Scott Stringer. And City Council Speaker Christine Quinn, Rich, as you were referencing, still in the glow of a get-to-know-her piece in New York Magazine, still considered the most likely candidate to receive support from current Mayor Michael Bloomberg. But in the midst of that good news came a bit of a surprise, a non-endorsement from actress and fellow gay rights advocate Cynthia Nixon. Nixon is backing Bill de Blasio. The key issue for Nixon, who says she won't get caught up in identity politics, was mandated paid sick leave. De Blasio supports it. Quinn says it could cost the city jobs. And Bloomberg's been a little hazy about exactly where his love is going to go in this race. I mean, Dominic, do you think he's going to tip his hand early on in this thing for Christine Quinn or anybody else?
The only reason why he won't tip his hand is if it's perceived that it will hurt Christine Quinn.
And she spoke about that in that
He's
suck-up piece.
He's in Quinn's corner. There's no doubt about it. He wants her to be the next mayor. The question is, Christine Quinn has been out there, and remember, she used to be like almost an Al Sharpton in the gay community, out there getting arrested and so on. What's going to happen when, this is why I'm saying don't write off Bill Thompson, debate time. We don't know how she's going to hold up in a live forum. She's very good with the PR people and not responding, but we'll see.
You're almost making an argument for Thompson as none of the above.
She speaks in platitudes a lot, but if you'll notice with de Blasio's rollout yesterday with his announcement, he's playing up this theme of the tale of two cities, the haves and the have-nots against Manhattan elitism.
He's strong with unions, right?
He's very strong with unions. It's a working families party message. So I think her being too closely aligned to Bloomberg is going to play into that and be a problem.
But on de Blasio, when the biggest thing mentioned about your announcing your candidacy is your son's big afro, that's not a good sign when you're running for mayor. And that's the only thing that's really been getting play online, and that is, and his son has this huge afro like going back to the 1970s. So.
Bring back fond memories, huh, Dominic?
For me and you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's another election where minorities are going to play a big role.
Yes.
So I think the candidates have to be focused on what Latinos
Well, let me ask you,
want.
do you think Anthony Weiner, in a country of second chances, could ever get elected to citywide office, let alone mayor?
Not now. I mean, I don't think he can run for mayor now. In maybe 10, 20, 30 years, who knows? There may be other politicians doing
We've seen
worse
a lot
things.
of comebacks, or even people throwing their hats back in the ring now. I mean, Vitter, you think he could win again?
Sure, and I don't think he can wait that long. No one will know
No, but
who
now
he
he
is.
cannot do it. He cannot do it now in this race.
I'm not
I
so
don't think.
sure that if the feeling is, as Bloomberg said, just a bunch of idiots, is that what he called the field last week?
Something to that effect.
Well, if that becomes sort of a truism, instead of Ray Liotta, not Ray Liotta, Joe Liotta, Ray Liotta.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking-
there's someone else.
Instead of Joe Liotta coming in as somehow, if you'll excuse the expression, a very white knight, people will start looking around, and Weiner's smart, and he has friends like Chuck Schumer, and everybody should take a deep breath. This thing is far from
Too
over.
fresh now. I think it could be easily destroyed with a very good campaign showing what he has done, the pictures, the woman, they can go on the media.
Does it matter that she stuck by him?
Well, yes, of course,
Yes,
that
it
will
helps.
help tremendously
One day
if she
Reno
would
may
have
be
run.
mayor of New York, but it's
Yes.
going to start with public advocate or controller,
Yeah, public
and then
advocate
he'll
or
move up.
controller.
He won't be,
There's
he won't be
enough-
mayor
If
this
he
year.
There's
can
enough-
run
This year
for
he
public
can run.
advocate, he can run for mayor.
There's
If he can
enough
win for
liberal
one, he can win for the
Democrats
other.
in the race right now that they don't need him. What does he bring to the table?
But nobody
Except,
loves,
well, $4 million.
nobody loves anybody in the field, though.
No, he could have done it. He wouldn't have the issue that he had. I think he would have been our next mayor. Everybody was talking about
Yeah.
it. But he's so fresh that I think it's going to be very, very hard. And if he brings this up now, it will be most probably, I think, about a strategy. I think it's better off waiting, keep him being a good boy with his family, maybe have another baby, and then...
Keeping him busy. I could just see you saying, "Oh, finally got the campaign. If he's
Listen,
the nominee,
I
then
know
you
you
would run
talk about
against him." Yeah.
Republicans' problems. I can't wait for this race.
All right. We take a quick break. The Obama-Clinton love fest continues. When we turn out, we're going to tell you what kind of a lovely package on the way out the door Hillary got here, and also how maybe it might be too early to talk 2016, but we might learn some signs here about just how close this pairing is in the next year or so. Stay with us.